Opel is now back in New Zealand and I'm at the official unveiling of two all-new, all-electric models. Car number one is this one. It's the all-new all-electric Mokka-e, or Mokka. Okay, first and foremost, price and range. This is the juicy stuff you want to know. This machine, after the Clean Car rebate, will set you back just north of $61,000. And for that, you get 363 Ks on a charge. Is it any good though? We're going to find out in a sec. Car number two is this one here. This is the Corsa-e. And this one might actually be a little bit more my style because it's, get this, $51,000 after the rebate. Pretty impressive. 383 Ks per charge. Let's take a closer look. Let's start with car number one, which is the Mokka-e, and it's the bigger of the two with quite sporty exterior styling that's enhanced by red strips running across the roofline and diamond cut 18-inch wheels. The interior is also pretty energetic with red accents throughout, as well as a pointy angular dashboard with dual screens, USB charging in the front and the back, as well as a 6-speaker sound system, all as standard. As for room, this machine would work well as a family car, as rear legroom is decent, as is headroom, well, providing your kids are under 6 feet tall. Boot space is also pretty good, measuring in at 310 litres, or 3 times that with the seats down, and that's good because there is no front storage in the Mokka-e, with all the space being taken up by the car's internal organs. Visually, the car is a winner, but do the specs match the car's sporty looks? As always, there's only one way to find out. First impression is the seating position is actually pretty good. It's not set up and big like I thought it was going to be. It's kind of more like a car. All right, let's get this thing underway. Now, even though it's got a sort of a car feel, it's easy to get in and out of. The seat height's not too low, which is good. If you remember sliding into Hondas back in the 80s, it was an ordeal. But this, now that I'm getting to a certain age, makes getting in and out of the car really easy. Now, I'm not saying I'm old, but my Halloween candy this year was just a bowl of ibuprofen. Okay, as for gadgetry, this car is loaded with it. This is the SRI model, and that's the only model that's going to be available in New Zealand. And that's not necessarily a bad thing, because the SRI model is the top spec model. And what that means is you get things standard in this car that you wouldn't in some overseas models, such as wireless phone charging and advanced parking assist, that sort of stuff. I have in front of me a 12-inch display, and on the left-hand side is a 10-inch touchscreen display, which is about 15 inches on the internet. And that means it's got Apple Android and CarPlay Auto as standard. All right, this one does have seated heats, but they are manually adjusted. And it does have also a heated steering wheel, which is great for the winter. Okay, acceleration's not too bad. Let's go up a side street, have a bit more fun. This is a hilly part of central Auckland. If it has a noise generator, it's fairly unnoticeable, which is a good thing, because I'm not a big fan of noisy noise generators. Handling is fantastic. Actually, that handles really good. One thing that surprised me though is the size of this car, because on the internet it looks much bigger than it does in person. Grow up. Which is a good thing, because in Auckland City you don't really want a large lumbering car, and that's one of the problems with cars like the MG ZS EV, which is a great car, but it's a big car and it's getting to the limits of crossover dimensions. This one's pretty good, and handling is, as I mentioned, superb, because this thing only weighs 1.59 tons, I think, which for an electric car of its size is not bad at all. But despite the fact that it's sort of mid-sized, there's plenty of room. I've got plenty of room, and the seat does go down. So if I was 6 feet tall, which I'm not, I'm 5'10", 178 centimeters. Whoa, look at all the room. That's insane. Okay, so I think you can get away with being 7 feet tall on one of these things. Unfortunately, this, like many of these press releases, they only give us the car for about 15-20 minutes. And what that means is I just don't have time to look at important stuff like the charging speed, the real-world acceleration, using the mobile app, for example, and of course, what the handling's like in the country, that sort of stuff. For that, you're going to have to wait for the actual full review, and I'm booked in. It will happen, so please, this is a good excuse to hit that like and that subscribe button so you're not actually going to miss it when it comes out very, very soon. This also gives me a quick chance to thank Ecotricity, which makes these videos possible. If you haven't heard of them, it's an electricity provider. They're pretty good because they're the country's only carbon zero certified electricity provider. That means every electron they make is wind, hydro and solar, nothing else. Why not sign up? Ecotricity.co.nz, save a bit of money, eliminate your carbon footprint, and get some green cred while you're at it. Okay, so 100 kilowatts it has. That means it's not going to lose traction when you're accelerating with your foot hard to the floor. The thing is, the 0 to 100 time is 9.2 seconds, and because I'm in the city centre, there's no way I can test that, unfortunately. Now, 9.2 seconds in a gas-burning car of this size is pretty good, but in an electric car, it's kind of meh. And electric cars, it's easy for them to be fast accelerating beasts, because the difference between a 100 kilowatt motor, like the one in this car, and a 200 kilowatt motor, really only about 10, 15, 20 kilos in copper. So there's really no reason why they've only given this car 100 kilowatts. I would have preferred it if they've given it 150, like the Kona EV. All right, as for charging, that's something I can tell you about. This thing charges peak charging rate at a DC rapid charge of 101 kilowatts. And what that means is that you're looking at about 30 minutes to recharge this car on a rapid charger from, say, 20% to 80% full, and that's a sort of normal charging sphere. If you're going to charge at home, however, and this is a chance for a good plug for Ecotricity again, using the EcoSaver plan from Ecotricity, then to charge this car overnight, you're looking at about 7 hours, and it's going to cost about $11. And that's completely renewable electricity as well. When was the last time you drove 300 plus kilometers for $11 in a car with heated seats and air conditioning? You can't beat electric, man. It's just the way to go. It's just a shame I can't get this on the motorway. We've only got 15-20 minutes per vehicle, so it means that I can't test the lane keeping assist or the adaptive cruise. And something else this car has, which is pretty cool, is stop-start mode. If you're stuck in traffic on the motorway, crawling along, this thing will basically drive for you. It takes care of the steering and the acceleration and braking, so you can just relax. I like that. My only critique so far is that, one, it's only a 100 kilowatt motor, which is not epic, and two, the dashboard design, it's kind of black and grey. I mean, don't get me wrong, I like the design, I love the red accents, it's very vibrant, very angry, but I wish that there was maybe a beige colour, and when I come to power, beige will be a mandatory option for all car manufacturers. You have been warned. Gosh, it's so frustrating test driving a car in Auckland traffic. It means that I can't really have much fun with things like sport mode. You've got 3 different driving modes on this got normal, sport and eco. You know what that means. Eco saves energy, tries to get you as close as possible to that 363 k's per charge. We've got normal mode, which is normal, and then we've got sport mode, which it really utilizes the entire 100 kilowatts you've got at your disposal. It really doesn't turn it into a rocket ship, but it does make it much more fun. Now, something else that it's got is B mode on there, which in theory, I'm going to test this out, allows you to do one pedal driving, which basically means you can stop and start in regular traffic conditions without touching the brake. Gosh, I wish I had more time, and I will have more time to review this properly. Let's put my foot down. Hey, there we go, lost a bit of grip. This is actually kind of fun. It's not bad at all. I wonder how it compares to the e-Corsa, and that's the next car I'm going to review. So that's the Mokka-e. Now let's check out its little brother, the Corsa-e, which already has my tightwad gland tingling due to its attractive price. I mean, it's 51 grand for a good-looking European EV with a decent range and specs. Now before you get too excited, keep in mind the Corsa-e is a smaller car, and while there is plenty of room in the front, and check out that glass roof, rear seat passengers don't get as much legroom or as much headroom, with me at 5'10" being near the limit. Boot space is also small at just 267 litres with the seats up, or 1100 with them down. And just like the Mokka-e, there is no chance of storing anything in the front, so this is very much a city car, which is fortunate because I was in the city. I think I might like this one a little more because it's got a slightly more hot hatchy feel. Okay, the layout's similar in terms of the center controls. You've still got the parking and the brake button, gear selected down here. Okay, let's start her up. This one has a slightly smaller instrument cluster, slightly smaller touchscreen display. But that's because it is a slightly smaller car, although the battery size is the same. Still 50 kilowatt hours, but because of its slightly reduced dimensions, it gets more range. This thing gets 383 k's per charge. So let's get the wipers going. Okay, the rear-facing camera is a little bit more basic. Now this weighs only 1.5 tons, and that's heavy for a car, but for an electric car, it's actually really quite light. Unfortunately, the weather has packed up for this particular section of the review, as always. Oh, okay, all right. So it's got the same 100 kilowatt motor, but the traction control is a little more avant-garde. I think there's a stone in this tire though. I can feel it. Ding, 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 ding. Maybe that's the road noise. Maybe it's not any louder than the other one. This really feels much more like the Peugeot E208. It feels a little angrier, but in German. Angry German car, yeah? But like the Mokka-e, the Corsa-e has a black dashboard, which is kind of meh. Now, I haven't even got it in sport mode though, that's the thing. So let's change it to sport mode. It's in eco mode right now, which is boring mode. Okay, sport mode, here we go. Now it is a wet road and we're up a hill, so I expect the traction control to have a little bit of fun here. Hey, that's all right, it's clinging on. Yeah, this is interesting because this car is only 51 grand after the clean car rebate, or just over. But you get a little bit more range. It is more of a city car, let's be fair, it's a smaller car. And you get a glass sunroof as well. That's pretty cool. This really reminds me of the Peugeot E208. As for downsides though, like the Mokka-e, or Mokka, this one also has no towing capacity. The dashboard is only this black and grey combo, with red accents of course. And it has no spare tyre, and the acceleration is good, but it could be epic. But still, bang for buck. This is in the same sort of price category as the Korean and Chinese electric cars that we're getting in the New Zealand market in this sort of hatchbacky size. But it feels much more fun. Now, as you've seen, both cars have similar performance, similar ranges, and similar charging speeds, but I won't know what each of those specs are like in the real world until I can get more time with each car. But considering Opel have already sold 85% of their first shipment without owners even driving the cars, it looks like they might do all right here, so hit subscribe and stay tuned for 2 juicy real-world reviews coming soon.